so my purpose with this book is not to, like I said when I filled out your form, was not to prove that it is or isn't, but more of a considerational piece for the author, right? Is because I think one of the things that has happened, especially with Christians, is when things get the label conspiracy, they automatically are just like, oh yeah, okay, then it's nothing. And it's like, but what if it is, right? Especially with some of the stuff we got going on in like the music industry, sort of some of the satanic stuff they got going on with blood and all that. And then you've got the secret societies, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, stuff in politics. I mean, you can run the gauntlet with stuff, things in science, when it came to COVID and all this stuff. So I wanted to be able to include this in one of the chapters and really get some credible people that are out there that have really been studying this, just to get as much information out there as we can. So if people actually want to reconsider or even just potentially consider, like, well, maybe this would be a tactic then to keep me away from God, right? Because my whole thinking is that it would be a tactic because there's so many other universes out there. There's so many other billions of planets. Then we don't have to consider that there would be an intelligent designer, right? And that's kind of what they're always promising with these missions to Mars, and we're going to find life and we're going to do this and that. And so I could definitely see that being a tactic of the devil. I could also see it being, maybe legitimate, that we do have a universe and whatever. And that would be God's thumbprint too. But from what I've seen so far, from some of your videos, from some of other people's videos, I'm starting to lean more towards flat Earth now than I was.
Well, once you see, the science behind it. Now, the whole devil thing, oh yeah, I say that's real, but that's harder to prove, right? Mm-hmm. But once you prove the science, right? Science says the heliocentric universe is scientifically impossible. We got rock balls with water and air on the outside adjacent to a void. That doesn't happen. You can't demonstrate that in nature or in a lab anywhere under any circumstance. There's no possible way to do that without a container. So that knocks the entire ball out of the park. It's over. There are no, and then the distances that we see planets and stars are scientifically impossible. That's like saying, I got a penny here. I'm going to move it 100 miles away and you can see it with your naked eye. Okay. Right. That's not going to happen. Right? It's not going to happen at 200 yards. So space is scientifically impossible. Well, what do we have now? And then as far as, you mentioned that, would the devil use the flat earth to hide God? Absolutely. Because I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in a creator. I was atheist if I had to put a label on myself. And then when I looked at the science and realized, wow, the Big Bang is nonsense. I can't believe I ever fell for that. Evolution's nonsense. I can't believe I fell for that. Oh my God, the world is intelligently designed. Well, now there's a creator. Okay. And that's it. And, if you're a Bible person, there's a verse in the Bible that basically says, once you see my creation, you can no longer have any excuse to deny my existence. And that's a fact. And that's where I was forced in. So the devil or evil, or we'll just call them the Clintons for a code name. They do not want people in a situation where they cannot deny God, the creator.
Right.
Okay. So they don't want us in that situation. And that's one of the reasons. The other reason is, if you lived in a playpen your whole life and didn't know there's the whole world outside that playpen, well, that limits your thoughts. That limits your ambitions. That limits your God-given creativity that creates your reality. Right. Everyone's creativity is, well, we're running out of oil. There's too many people. We're climate change. We're running out of fossil fuels, which is a joke, and everything basically has been discovered except maybe a little part of Antarctica, and that's it. When in reality, the world could be so much more. It is so much more. And then all of our history is a lie. These resets that happen. People think, well, it's every 26,000 years. I think it's like every 150 years. Yeah,
right. I know. I'm starting to think that as well.
Yeah.
Here's what I'd like to do, because I have all my questions in front of me. So first of all, I'd like to thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Sure.
So I want to be able to kick it off with just letting people know who you are. Again, I'd like to be able to put this out through Spotify eventually when the book comes out. And I have considerable more chapters than my last book, so it's probably going to take me a little bit. But I'd like to be able to put this out as supplemental material, and then people can go and check it out. But I just like to start with, who are you and what's your background? Just kind of start simple. What were you doing before all of this?
I'm a normal guy, grew up on the East Coast here in Connecticut, went to college, left college, went to corporate America, held down some jobs for decent, long periods of time. I'm not a guy that jumps from job to job. Then I got into the solar power business, expanded the company that I was with into the commercial market. And then I left there and started my own commercial solar power development company, and was doing really well at it. It's still a thriving, amazing company right now. But I was also at the same time, for fun, doing a podcast on conspiracies. Well, not conspiracy theories, we're conspiracy analysts, right? Because, conspiracy theory is a weaponized term. And you spend a year researching into the details of things. And then somebody that watches a 30-second news clip says, oh, you're an idiot. Right. You're a conspiracy theorist. Well, you just listened to the friggin' news and believed what they were saying. They're steering your mind with that nonsense. And so Flat Earth came around, and I, like everybody else, any smart person, just ignored that person because they're an idiot. I'm not going to look into Flat Earth. Dumbest thing ever. Banned people from my social media for even asking me to watch a video. I was just tired of it. And then, like you, I was forced to look into it. And when you go, look into it, don't go in to try to prove it. Go in to try to disprove it. Right. Try to disprove Flat Earth and prove the globe, and you will end up just like me. You'll end up realizing that, one, where we live, who we are, is a complete and total lie, and two, that it is the most important lie to the devil or to evil or the Clintons that matters. When people say, "What difference does it make? I still have to go to work." We've been programmed to say that. What difference is the shape of the Earth? Well, the Earth flat isn't a shape. Flat is a description of the Earth. Level, horizontal, like everything that we see at rest. Water at rest, large bodies of water at rest lay flat. So, and why does it matter? Because it hides your true potential. It hides, it limits your imagination, and your imagination what creates this world. And what do they tell you in school? How much of your brain do you use? What did I tell you?
10%.
10% of your brain. That's because the other 90% connects with nature and connects with source and connects with, etheric realms of information, but they don't want you using that. The leaders of this world would be idiots if they educated the masses to the point where they could challenge their authority. Yeah. Okay. And the truth is, they have no authority except in your imagination. And you've all been programmed to bow down to authority. I do not.
Yeah. Awesome.
I used to.
I know. And the disconnect is weird too, because the knee-jerk reaction for a lot of stuff is to just instantly dismiss it. And so I think that also says something too about just our culture and where we are with some of the things from our past. And, I talk with my dad about Flat Earth every once in a while. And I just saw him on Saturday, and I talked with him a little bit about it. And I think it's just hard for him to separate the possibility that could be a thing, because he's a baby boomer. He grew up in the 50s and 60s, and
does he have my app?
No, he does.
Put the app on his phone and just tell him, Dad, if you love me, all you have to do is watch the daily video. Every day there's a new video. While he's having his breakfast, just watch one video a day. And I guarantee inside of a week, he'll be watching 10, 20 videos a day. And then he'll call you up and go, holy crap, you're right.
Yeah. Well, some of the evidence is pretty.
How about this? Some of the evidence is Some of the evidence is, I don't get
it. Yeah, it is.
Some of the evidence is too complicated. But some of the evidence is undeniable, scientifically provable, and it's over. I mean, it's over. People, another thing that people have been programmed to say, there's absolutely no proof of flat Earth, and there's a million proofs of globe Earth. The opposite is true. The opposite is true. rock solid proof. Well, if it's true, how come the news isn't covering it? Really?
I know. Yeah, I sent him the. I think I sent him a screen grab of a video screen grab the other day of that clip of the guy, the astronaut, being like, "Yo, we'd go to the moon in a nanosecond, but we lost all that technology." And
Don Pettit, the only astronaut who actually thinks he went to the moon.
And so my dad hit me back and was just like, "Oh yeah, that is very interesting." So it's like, exactly, why would they do that? Why would you? That'd be like making something and destroying it, and just be like, why'd you make it in the first place then? If the goal is to destroy it. Okay, so
if flat last thing, I'll let you go. If flat Earth was a psyop, if flat Earth was nonsense, it would have been destroyed by the scientists already. They would have just shut it down, right? I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Nobody's claiming them, right?
Claiming it.
It's because there are no globe proofs for something that doesn't exist, right? The best they have is, a star, the viewing of a star, but we have the opposite. We show that star could also be viewed on something that's impossible on a globe Earth. So looking at the stars doesn't prove the globe or flat Earth. You're looking at lights in the sky. First, prove to me how big they are, how far they are, and what they are. Then we could talk about how they proved something.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, so that's like a question I have related on the road. I'm glad that you brought that up. So you kind of already answered my second question, was what led you into flat Earth. I guess that was just kind of people bugging you about it.
Dragged in, kicking and screaming like I was being dragged into a pond of alligators. I was just like, I do not want to look at this. But then my friend Sophia Smallstorm, she's like, David, I think the Earth is flat. And I was just like, oh, are you kidding me? And here's the thing. She sent me some YouTube videos. Well, where do you get your information on YouTube? YouTube is a depository or a suppository, whatever you want to call it, for information. Good stuff, nonsense, crap, and truth. It's all there. It's like the world, right?
Yeah.
Where do you get your information from? Other people. Well, yeah, there's information everywhere, and you have to sort it out. It's just a place where people can take their hard work, put it together, show it to you, save you a ton of time and effort, and then you can go out and verify it yourself. For example, Antarctica. Right? The Antarctic Treaty, people don't understand what it is. Like, well, it exists. No, it doesn't exist. Well, we have one of our guys who's a lawyer. He spent, I don't know, he must have spent months putting together all the documents, phone calls and emails and connecting, and spelled the whole thing out in a 30-minute video called Sorry, Antarctica's Closed. And so watch that 30-minute video. It'll save you 5 years of research.
Nice.
And then you'll understand how the Antarctic Treaty is proof that they're hiding the true form of this world. Right.
And that, again, that's another point that I brought up to my dad. I think that was another one that kind of took him aback a little bit, because like, I didn't know there was a treaty that you can't go down there. Like, yeah, it's off limits. You can't get down there. They'll fine you big bucks if they find you. There's parts that are covered by the military,
Did you watch limits. The Next Level?
I did not.
So on my website, flatearthdave.com, there's a link to, it's the next level 2022.com, and you get a high def copy there. There's also low definition copies on the app. You can find it in there under the full movies, but I highly recommend that. It's only like $5 or something. Watch that movie, and in it is a clip of some fishermen that tried to cross the 60th parallel.
Is it the guys that are? I just saw a video of a couple of guys in a fishing boat trying to go too far south.
That's in there. It's a good clip of that. Yeah.
Well, again, though, something that like I don't think people think about. Like, have you ever just gotten in a boat and tried to go as far as you can?
You can't. Like, where are you going to go? How are you going to get there? What are you going to do when you get there? What if they didn't stop you? Then you're on a sailboat, right? And you get to the shoreline of Antarctica that's 200 feet over your head up an ice cliff. Are you an ice climber? Where are you going to tie the boat up, right? When you get up there, where are you going, right? You might have to go 10 miles, and then you'll hit crevasses. Who knows? And then there's no supplies. There's no nothing. The compasses don't work. I mean, you can't independently explore there unless you have millions and millions of dollars and permission, but they're not giving it. They're not giving the permission.
Which is pretty crazy to me. So then my third question for you is, what, in your opinion, what are the 3 strongest pieces of evidence for the flat Earth and in 2 different categories? One for your uneducated person, maybe who's someone, they don't look into conspiracies. It's just whatever people tell them. They're like, oh, I went to school, they said it was a globe, that's what it is. And then the second category for people who do look into these things and they're still just like, no, I don't think it's flat. What are your sort of your three best that you think?
Well, one of them is there is no curvature. Every scientific test for curvature has failed. And if you're on a ball, there's physical curvature. When you go over that ball, you're behind a physical curve, and zooming in will not bring that thing back into view. But when we look at things like, out in the distance, we see there's nothing out there. But as you zoom in and make the angular size bigger and bigger, you'll see that there is a sailboat out there. Right. Yep, exactly. And so that sailboat should be behind the curve. And then people say, well, they'll just make up excuses. They'll say, well, that doesn't make any sense because it's not far enough. Well, then we have things like, this oil rig. We know exactly how far it is. We know the camera's a foot off the ground. The horizon, according to the globe, should be 1.2 miles away. Let's round up to 2, right? This is 9.4. There should be 4 miles. There should be 59 feet of curvature. But not only is it that, we can see the water far beyond it, the surface of the water. Yep. Okay. So the Earth, with our infrared sightings now, Jay Tolan Media, he just did one where he could see so far because infrared will cut through all that haze. The Earth would have to be 1,000 times bigger than it is. Okay. Wow. And then you still have the problem. How the hell is it going to curve with curving water? Okay. And if the Earth was a ball 1,000 times bigger, I think that would still be a pretty big cover up. Okay. Because instead of 8 continents, there's 18 million continents, who knows? Yep.
So that's
it. So distance. Then the other thing, high pressure next to low pressure doesn't exist without a physical container, right? Okay. They tell us space is a vacuum. I don't like using the word vacuum because they go, space isn't like a vacuum cleaner. Space is a void lacking pressure. Okay. There's no air pressure. You can't have air pressure without a container, right? People say, well, gravity holds the air down. Okay. Well, how does a summer breeze throw the air left and right? How does a butterfly fly? And how do I, with a straw at any altitude, point it downwards and with the weak low pressure of my mouth and lungs, pull water and air up and away from gravity effortlessly? And I would say that my weak vacuum of my mouth and lungs doesn't compare to the true vacuum of space. We have a vacuum chamber here on Earth that, I think NASA has it. And the walls are 8 or 10 feet thick with concrete and steel. Okay. Yeah. So they doesn't implode on itself. Okay. And that's just the pressure difference. Right. Yeah. And then another one is, just on space being fake is, NASA will never put an astronaut in that vacuum chamber in their suit because their suit would explode. Yeah. Right. And then if we get into all of the stuff like on the International Space Station, all of the screw ups that they do, if they're faking it once, they're faking it all the time. Why would you need to fake space if space was real? Right. And so there's many different sightings. Mount Canigou from Aluja, France. That's a great one. 175 miles. Sonar. We have an expert testimony that sonar from a submarine can see another submarine 100 miles away on the bottom of the ocean. Well, most of the ocean is the abyssal plain. It's flat. Well, there would be a mountain over a mile tall of curvature. Right. Flat is curved according to Globers. Okay. On a flat Earth, there's no such thing as a straight line. Okay. Yeah. I mean, on a globe Earth. Sorry, on a globe Earth. Yeah. I have lysdexia.
Yeah. Those are good. That's really good. I think that's a lot of what I ran into were examples of things that just make you kind of think, right? I got another book back here that was called, The Earth is Flat, Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid by Casper Stith. And in there, he talks about, railroads and things like that, right? And just like things that kind of spark your like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. Like, well, do they bend railroad tracks? I mean, no, I guess not, because and you kind of start thinking about these things.
The Globe argument is they wouldn't have noticed it. Just a slight difference between them is a minor crack, and it just goes around. And I actually like that argument. That it makes sense, but over great distances, there would be more track needed because it's not a straight line. Tunnels get me. Tunnels that go straight, they should pop out of the ground. Okay.
Right, exactly.
They should pop out of the ground. And, and bridges that are, the Chinese bridge that's 100 miles long, there should be a mile of curvature, right? That's a little extra roadway that they'd have to calculate for, which they didn't.
Right. So I think those are all really good points. All the ones that you brought up, those are just the things that kind of made me think. And even from someone who had already kind of started looking it up, and I was getting familiar with it, because I what you said earlier is what I set out to do. I'm like, well, I'm going to disprove this thing. And then I kind of wound up falling into the camp of flat earther a little bit.
You want to know my favorite flat earth proof?
Which one?
There's no globe proofs.
Yeah.
There's no proof of the globe. Not one of my 3 Bitcoins still not given away proves that somewhat, but there's no globe proof. No scientists, can prove it. And most scientists, they talk about, many of the big scientists talk about how science, proves the opposite. Like George F.R. Ellis. Let me read what he said. I can construct for you a spherically symmetrical universe with Earth at its center, and you cannot disprove it based on observations. You can only exclude it on philosophical grounds. In my view, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. What I want to bring out in the open, is the fact that we are using philosophical criteria in choosing our models. A lot of cosmology tries to hide that, right?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and then Einstein, who invented special relativity to counter experiments that revealed that the Earth was motionless in space. This eventually led him to general relativity, which forced him to accept a motionless Earth in the center of the universe as a viable and worthy cosmological system. I mean, there's so many of these things.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna come back to my number 4, because I like that you're getting into history a little bit. So I'm gonna jump around on my questions here. So then, what do you think that this is a common, since you brought up Einstein and kind of talking about history a little bit? Do you think that this is a common tactic that is being used, a common historical tactic that is being used by the people that just run this world, the powerful elites, similar to like what they're trying to do with the 1619 project and kind of reframing how America was founded and all that sort of stuff? This sort of a revisionist history. It's like, that's a new word to everybody, but it's not a new tactic as far as, because you got writings, I think in that book that I read, you've got writings from people still in the 1800s that are talking about the Earth is flat. How does it make it that far? If
it's worse than that.
To it, you know what I mean?
They were teaching flat Earth in the mid 1900s here in America, everywhere. And then it was just changed, right? Because there wasn't Twitter and email and everything. So somebody 5 miles away from you you might never meet them, never know about them, and never know what they're learning, what they're thinking. And then they the Rockefellers, the bankers, organized the school system, funded the schools very weakly, and then would sell them textbooks at like a quarter of the cost that it cost them to make it. Therefore, it eliminates any other publisher from coming out with like, hey, take our textbook. It's got real information. And then they also run the curriculum. So the whole idea of, that's what I'm going to say. Well, I think it was William Casey said, the CIA director said, and this is a quote I heard a long time ago, and I kind of like really everything he said. Our mission will be complete when everything the American people believe is false. Okay. Do you remember that quote? Something like that, paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, not everything. Right. And then when I was doing my podcast, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, people would say, Dave, everything can't be a conspiracy. Name one conspiracy name one thing that's not a conspiracy. Mm-hmm. And I'd have to think for a while. And I said, well, Sully landed that plane on the Hudson River. That wasn't a conspiracy. And then I later found out that was fake also. Okay. All right. And so every major event that we know of,
right,
is fake. It's fake in one way or the other. Did JFK get shot? I don't know, man. I wasn't there, but there's something about it. There's something, if I had to guess, but I'm not even going to guess because that one's like before my time, but all these major events, they're all set up. They're all a stage. You know who said, the world is nothing but a stage. Who said that?
Was that William Shakespeare?
William Shakespeare. You want to hear something amazing? William Shakespeare, the guy that said the world is a stage, never existed. Okay? So the guy that's telling you the world is a stage is a made-up stage character.
That's so interesting.
It is so interesting. And that's the thing. They want to keep us off kilter, not knowing who we are, feeling insignificant, lost and powerless. Because if we all knew the truth, this world would be an amazing place. And they don't want that, because then they'd lose control over us. What if everybody cooperated with everybody? And, and then what if you had free energy and free access to water, unlimited pristine water instead of the poison water that they pipe in our houses now, right? Yeah. And free energy, free electricity, and free fuel, and free heat for your house. What if that was all free? Well, what else would you need? Well, probably you could just be a gardener and work out the deals with your neighbor. Oh, I need this door fixed. Okay, here's some lettuce, right?
Right. Yeah.
And life would be so amazing. Well, who would build the roads? Well, the government doesn't build the roads. Okay. The roads would get built. People would get together, and they don't make cell phones, right? All the stuff is innovation would really happen. I mean, about cars. The guy invented a car that runs on water. Well, that was shut down. Well, what if that wasn't shut down? And then you had other minds that think like that, right? And they work together. We'd have flying cars that run on water. Okay. Right. We'd have all sorts of amazing stuff by now, but all of that is hidden. They don't want us to know about free energy. They don't want us to know about the power of our mind.
Yeah. I think you're right there. And that's what I'm starting to unravel more and more, is there's some sort of, and I think that's what makes it so interesting. And then I can also see on the other side why it scares a lot of people, because they don't want to have to come to that scary realization. Because then the world isn't what you thought it was, right? So what do you think, what one of the topics I talked about with Mark Sargent, who really awesome to talk to as well, but what part do you think confusion plays in this whole conspiracy? I'll call it a conspiracy for now, since the people that are listening to this, maybe they're on the fence, or they don't think so, and so they want to keep in those terms. But what do you think, what part does confusion play in this conspiracy? Because you seemingly have the celebrities and the elites of the world that are also divided on this, right? So it almost, I think maybe someone could make the argument of like, well, if it's a big cover up, then wouldn't all these celebrities and athletes and people that make the big millions and trillions and dollars be in on it? But you have athletes against athletes and celebs against celebs that are, saying like, no, it's round, no, it's flat, no, it's round. And
well, Kyrie Irving said it, and then his sponsors told him to unsay it, right? And so he did.
The power of the unsay.
He knows. He knows. And there's people like William Shatner who were broke and faked going into space, provably so. And there's not that many people that know, but they're hiding it. And only the people at the very tops know. I'd say most of our government doesn't know. Okay. Only the people at the very, very top know.
Wow. Interesting. Do you think that's because they don't care to know, or it's just they're so indoctrinated with the program?
They're so indoctrinated, and they control them with money and blackmail and everything else, and all sorts of crazy stuff. They're just in it for themselves, and right. And it's all about control with money. The bankers don't need the money; they control us with the money. And then your question was the confusion. Yeah, they confuse the crap out of us. They tell us one thing, then they tell us another thing, and they tell us another thing. Whenever they do a false flag, they have like 4 different scenarios, and that causes your mind to get confused, and then you give up. Human minds, right. When they get too confused, they're like, fuck it, I'm out. Okay, and that's it. That's it. And so they use confusion to tire your mind. And then they keep you working paycheck to paycheck. 99% of the country's paycheck to paycheck. And then on the weekends, they get you cheering for your team. So when your team wins, you have a win, right? And that's a release. And you don't know that you're in a jail because it's a ball. You don't know that it's a jail, right? They have you believing that you can't go past Antarctica. Antarctica is not at the bottom of the ball. It's the shoreline that surrounds our world.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. So do you think that we'll ever get, this is one of my questions to Mark Sargent, and his answer was pretty telling. But I just saw a clip the other day. I think you were on the clip on a TikTok for Alex Jones.
I was.
Yeah. Do you think, where he was talking about he'll pay money for people to go figure it out? And do you ever think we'll get a rogue group of little cadre of people that are just like, we're doing it, like we don't care, we'll die, like we're just gonna go?
Well, it's not that easy. I mean, even if they let us go, you probably will die, because it's so difficult to go to Antarctica. But there's many stories, you know, like the Iron Republic and the navigator who went beyond the ice wall, about people getting through inlets on boats and going to the outer oceans and finding extra land and finding other civilizations out there. Yeah. So, you know, it might happen, you know, it might happen frequently, like that MH17 or flight that crashed. I don't know. Maybe they made a run for it and made it to the outer lands. You know, maybe those were people in the know. They got out there and they went out to the outer lands, and now they're all living out there in untyranny. Right.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think it's more about more and more people learning about this, and then when we hit critical mass there, it's amazing. And if you looked on my app lately, this is the app is like, so many people are waking up. It's absolutely crazy. These are just the people near me.
Yeah, the blue dots. Yeah, I've seen
the blue dots. Right. And we're hitting 68,000. We just went over 68,000 people on the Friend Finder. And there's way more. Most flat earthers don't have my app. Never even heard of it. Right. So it's growing. We're past the point where they got to do something to shut down, reset society, because society is waking up. And I don't think they can reset it. I don't think they can reset it without our permission.
Yeah. Which is also pretty crazy. I asked Mark the same question. Have you, I forgot to write this one down, but I remembered it. Have you ever felt like anybody was watching you or following you or phone taps or anything like that?
No. Oh, you know, I'm sure they're listening to everything, you know, so.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Yeah. I don't even like thinking about that. And, you know, somebody's got my back, you know, maybe it's the creator.
Yeah, no, for sure. 100%. So I wanted to ask you too, because earlier you mentioned about the stars. So the latest thing that I saw on TikTok was somebody in South America or Australia. He was like, no, let's just figure this out. We can do this real quick and we can debunk it. He was a glober. And, you know, he's like, hit me up if you want to try this experiment. We'll do it all together. If you're flat earth, fine. If you're glober, fine. We'll come together. We'll do this right now because we can prove it. And then so I finally saw the follow-up video to that. And it was them looking at the Southern Cross, someone in Australia, someone in South America. And they were saying that because of where the Southern Cross was located, where each one was saying it was, they were actually looking away from each other, when on a globe model, they would be looking at it together, which would make more sense. Have you seen that experiment?
Yeah. So in the app under the debunking the debunkers, so if you hit the web button and you go to debunking the debunkers right there, up comes our favorite not a Professor Dave, and the fourth video down is how that observation is done. But here's the thing: it doesn't prove the earth is flat, and it doesn't prove the earth is a globe. This is what I was starting to talk about before, where it's not just there's only literally 1 minute on one day of the year that you can see it from three places, from Johannesburg, from Santiago, and from Australia. Okay. But it's only literally 1 minute of one day where you can see it, but they're all looking in different directions. But here's the thing. I think that the southern stars are actually reflections of the northern stars. Okay. I could be wrong, but until you prove me wrong, then it doesn't matter. But here's the thing. This is what I was talking about before. There was a glober who was a stargazer and amateur astronomer. And I forget exactly where he lived, but he was 20 degrees north. And he's able to see the entire Southern Cross. Well, 20 degrees north, the Southern Cross would be dozens of miles below the curve, but he can see it. Therefore, that's impossible on a globe. Now, do I claim that proves the Earth is flat? No. I claim that it proves your star model globe nonsense. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was recently a flight. This is I think it was from Germany down to Brazil, I think. And if he's going over the ball, halfway over the ball, how come the stars aren't rising up?
Right.
The stars would be rising up. This is what it would look like. This is an animation. This is what it would look like. Right? The stars would all be rising up because he's flying over a ball, which is crazy. I would never fly if we're on a ball, right?
Yeah, that would probably look a little unsettling.
So, but this is the live footage, right? The stars are just rotating in the sky. The whole star field would be going up as he goes over the curve.
Yeah.
That's proof again that we don't live on a ball. Proof again that we don't live on a ball.
Yeah. And those are all interesting too, when you actually start diving into not only just the train thing, but also planes too. And the fact that the pilots, you have some interviews of people talking with pilots and they're like, oh yeah, we don't course correct, or like we're not dipping the nose down every couple minutes to correct for curvature.
So think about this. And so you got your northern hemisphere at the top, southern hemisphere at the bottom. Okay.
Yep.
Equator's in the middle. Any two locations in the north, any combination of any two locations, if you're going to fly from one to the other, would you ever need to go below the equator?
No.
Okay. And nobody ever does. No northern flights will do that. Well, the same should be true for the south. Any southern location to another southern location, would you ever need to go above the equator?
No.
Yeah, but they do.
Right.
Because, and you laid it on a flat Earth map, you've seen it, right?
I have.
And, again, they're also on the app. If you just go into I just loaded this, so it's got to load, take a second.
Yeah.
But if you go there, it shows these flights that go make these huge diversions into the north, lay it on a flat Earth map, and it makes perfect sense on a flat Earth map. Makes zero sense on a globe.
Yeah.
Zero. Right? Here's Santiago to Sydney, right?
Yep.
And there it is on a flat Earth map. Straight line.
Yeah, that was another one I recently saw too. I think somebody did it from Africa, the tip of Africa. It was like Cape Town, Africa to South America.
Yep.
But the flight path is not that. If you take that trip, they jump all the way up to Europe somewhere or something, and they come back down to South America.
Yeah, crazy.
And it winds up being longer.
Auckland to Peru, they go all the way up to California. Well, why don't they just go across here?
Right.
Why don't they just go across here? Right. It's the same
distance. Exactly.
But they did all of this and all of that. Well, happens to be a straight line. And then the emergency landings, forget about it. The emergency landings prove that the Earth is not a globe.
Yeah. Is that what people?
Good.
Sorry. Is that what people tell you when you try to talk about flight paths and they say, well, the reason they go back to stay close to land is an emergency situation. They need something.
Yeah, well, they say that they got to make money and they have that's where their hub is. Bullshit. Okay. There's plenty of people that want to go to Peru,
right.
From Auckland. There's plenty of people. And but when I say emergency landings, the emergency landings are the best. Here's the one from whoops, that's not what I needed. 1 second. Here's one where they had an emergency and they went all the way up to where does that say? Seattle. Went up all the way to Seattle. It's like 1,000 miles out of the way. Okay. And they got there in like really fast. Like, how did they get there? Well, you look at it, it's a straight line on a flat Earth. And this is when they have an emergency, like someone's having a baby or a heart attack or something.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Same thing. Emergency happened. They diverted to Moscow, way out of the way. Moscow is right on the line, right?
It's right on the route. I see.
It's right on the route. Another one, right? Beijing, they went all the way up to Calgary. Okay. That's because Calgary is right on the route, on the straight line between the two. How many times does that have to happen? Now, here's the thing. I'm showing you a bunch of memes. Don't believe me. I'm just showing you memes.
Yeah.
Okay. Get the book. Okay. It's free online PDF, or you go to lulu.com and order it. It's a great coffee table book. It documents everything, the flight routes, the times, what happened, where did it happen, boom, boom. And it's all documented for you. 16 emergency landings that prove flat Earth.
Nice.
They don't suggest flat Earth. They don't just disprove the globe. They prove flat Earth.
Interesting. Okay. Yes, I'll definitely get that. I have a giant flat Earth like Amazon cart on Amazon. I'm just stacking up with books.
Books are the way to go, man, because all of this mumbo jumbo ones and zeros are going to disappear.
It will. I know. I get nervous. All right. Last question, because I want to respect your time. I'm sorry I was late. What would your top 3 credible sources be that you would recommend to people who either don't believe or they think maybe? I think one of the issues that people run into when it comes to conspiracies are, yes, this guy might be really knowledgeable. He's also like 40, not you, but I'm saying just a guy, but he's also 46 and lives at home with his mom, and he's like a keyboard warrior, and that's all he ever does, versus maybe someone who's like, oh, I was in the FBI for 30 years and I saw weird stuff in dossiers and documents that I was shown. And do you have any references or resources that you can kind of point people to where the credibility is almost undeniable to say, why would this person lie?
So again, on the app, if you hit the web button and go to the full length videos right here, okay, or on my website, flatearthdave.com, go down to the Flat Earth Crash Course, you have this playlist. And right now it's the third one down. It's a bunch of Navy, military guys that talk about how their weapons, their navigation, the stuff that they do only works on a flat Earth. Why would they lie? Right? They're risking everything. But these are whistleblowers. This is a new movie that came out a couple months ago. And it's, who should you trust? You should trust your common sense and stop believing the nonsense. But he is a military expert here, professional military guys. That's a pretty good source in my book, right? Yeah. And there's also a lot of people that are coming out and saying, that are keeping quiet, but they're slowly coming out. Like, I don't know if you follow Peggy Hall. Do you know who Peggy Hall is? She's called the Healthy American. She's been out on the medical freedom front. She's one of the leaders. And she recently just came out, said the Earth is stationary and space is fake, and basically tore apart the James Webb telescope, just laughing at it. But she now, is she an authority? No, but she's a big name. And so more and more people are coming out. Overnight, you're going to wake up and there's going to be 100 million flat earthers one morning.
Wow. Well, I hope so. I mean, I hope there is some sort of
there's probably 100 million already, but there's going to be 100 million people speaking out. And then the next day it'll be 250 million. Right.
Well, I mean, it definitely is growing for sure. I mean, on the TikTok, the algorithm is, it's an algorithm. So, but the videos that come up on the feed that I stop and I watch, and I've got everything categorized out for this next book.
Do you have, I featured 2 TikTokers right here. We got Derek. Do you watch him?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe I've seen his video, but I don't know.
He's unbelievable. Got hundreds of videos. Every single one is amazing. And then we have Caleb. You've probably seen him. It's blonde guy. He's always got gum in his mouth. And they do great videos. I've highlighted them here. Subscribe to those guys, Caleb and Dare_Ik. Okay. They'll blow. Those 2 alone prove the Earth is flat. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it has been a fun ride because I feel like I was telling Mark Sargent, I don't feel like I need to necessarily that a universe and a bunch of planets need to exist for me to believe in God. If anything, it almost kind of frees me up because it shows me the links at which evil will go to keep you away from God.
That's for sure. But even for the people that have found the Creator, you've missed a lot. There's more to it. It's more empowering. I mean, hey, you believe in God, but you believe you live on a globe flying through a infinite universe where an asteroid could take you out at any moment. Dinosaurs existed. Okay. Well, you've just limited this connection to the Creator and have basically dissed his creation. You're looking, it's not important. I don't really need to know. I don't need to take this mind that he gave me and actually use it and discern where I live. I'm going to believe a bunch of fucking idiots with bow ties will wear lab coats, Okay. I'm sorry, but that's dissing the Creator. Okay.
Yeah. Little Bill Nye dig there.
Yeah.
That's good. That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you for your time. Again, I said I want to be respectful of your time. If you feel so inclined, you can go grab my book on Amazon. I'm going to download your app.
What's the name of your book?
Name of the book is Your Devil Is Too Big. And you can get it on Amazon or within stock, Barnes and Nobles. And then I'm going to go grab your app, and I'm going to look up some more of your videos. I just randomly stumbled across you. I think I came across you through, I think it was Mark Sargent. Not when we talked, but
Mark's a good friend. Where are you located?
Austin, Texas.
Well, it's a little bit of a hike, but there's people coming from California. We're having a big conference, Flattoberfest, in October in South Carolina.
Really?
It's a music festival, barbecuing, picnic one day, and then presentations and conference one day, and then a music festival the third day.
Nice.
And October 21st. You can find it in the app under the shopping cart or or flatearthfestivals.com, Flattoberfest. Amazing awake people. You could probably interview a whole bunch of people for your book.
Yeah.
But you were just talking about, what were you saying? I wanted to show you one thing. You said it's gone. It's gone.
Oh, no, it's gone. I was talking about I don't know. Oh, that I'm going to get your app and I'm going to watch more videos. How I stumbled upon you was through Mark Sargent.
Oh.
But not through, I don't think it was through our interview. It was one of his videos, and I think it was a clip of you. You were doing you were proving the how the sun doesn't really set. Right? We've been told that it's down. It's not really going down, it's moving back.
Yeah, it's moving
away from us, which was also a new concept to me. I never considered that.
In the app, top row under the web button, these are my interviews. So all my interviews are here. I even have a button called DITRH shortlist. These are all my short videos for those of you that are TikTokers that can't handle anything over 3 minutes.
Yeah. Right? Well, I just got a TikTok, so I have a little longer of a tolerance for videos.
And then for those of you with really long tolerances, there's some really long ones in here, but the best button, they're all good. The Flat Earth full videos, turn off Netflix for a couple of weeks and start watching these videos. They're an hour and a half, 45 minutes. Watch these. They're well done. They're entertaining. And you can watch them again and again and again. They're that good. And then you'll see what's going on. You'll see, and it opens up a whole new world. I don't care what shape the earth is. I still have to go to work. Guess what? I don't go to work anymore. Okay. Working harder than I ever did in my life. Okay. But I do what I love now. Right. Yeah. And if you told me that I would get through college and make it in corporate America and be the top of my company and then leave and start my own company and have it be wildly successful.
Yeah.
And then I'd walk away from it all to talk to people on the internet. I go, are you kidding me? Right. That's absolutely ridiculous, but life could not be better. So you don't know where the road leads you, but if you're stuck on a ball, there's very limited roads.
Right. Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's a really cool story. And I hope people really take that to heart and really, really kind of analyze that and reflect on, what am I missing out on, or what am I not paying attention to? Or, for me, it's always, how am I missing God's direction and guidance for my life? And I think that's why I'm so kind of cued into these things like flat earth and the Illuminati and Freemasonry and politics, the corruption of politics, and all these things that, other people would like to just kind of castigate as like conspiracy, and then I don't have to think about it again. Because I definitely think there's something there. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Again, my apologies for being late. But yeah, is there, so the next thing you're going to be is at the Flattoberfest?
Flattoberfest in Greensboro, South Carolina. Greensboro, South Carolina. Awesome. And it's worth the trip no matter where you are across the plane.
Cool. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much. I do really appreciate your time. And whenever I find a publisher, because I'm not sure I'm going to use the same one again, but when I find a publisher and I actually get this out, I'll be sure to shoot you an email and let you know it came out.
I will. It's going to be a flat earth book.
The title is called Weapons and Tactics. And so it's going to kind of run the gauntlet of different things that are kind of more just straightforward. Like some of the gender stuff we got going on in the world today, but then I'm going to dip into some more conspiratorial stuff within the book as well. So that's where flat earth will be, and a couple of I'm only going to pick like 2 or 3 topics. So I don't want to overload.
If flat earth is in it, right here in the app, we have a books button, and here are all the flat earth books.
Nice.
Amazing stuff. Click on it, gives you a preview. And then it brings you to your stop. So if you have it hit me up. I'll put it on there for you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I mean, I have so much content now from just TikTok videos I've saved and another great interview. I might be able to like separate that completely and just make it its own book. So, well, I'll definitely let you know for sure.
Flat Earth is an infinite plane topic. There's
Yeah.
so much information.
There
And
is.
and then I don't know if you looked into the mud floods yet, or
I
the
have been looking.
giant trees and all that stuff.
Yep, all of it.
There's great links in the app also to that stuff, and all of that.
Even better.
Yeah, it'll keep you busy.
Cool, awesome. Well, I definitely look forward to it. So again, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you later.
All right, man. Thanks. See ya.
All right, bye.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right.